Alright, guys, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to do not just a comic review, but a whole ass series review. Like a whole ass comic review of an entire series that was wrapped up in 3 volumes. So I'm going to be talking about Hellions. This is actually my first foray into the Krakoan era X-Men stuff, like collected in trades. Yeah. So what is Hellions? So Hellions, let's get this started. This is written by Zeb Wells with art by, well, various artists. Hellions, the best way to describe Hellions is it's kind of like the X-Men Suicide Squad, or what that was kind of what it was meant to be. Although there was X-Force. It was actually, they claim it's more like therapy for the most broken of mutant characters. And I really was drawn to this because it was a team created by Mr. Sinister, my favorite X-Men villain, and one of my favorite Marvel villains. B, I'm always a sucker for, like, characters you don't normally see get the spotlight, and also just interact with each other. So this team was made up of Mr. Sinister, Havoc, Orphan Maker, a very obscure X-Men villain, Wild Child, an obscure X-Force character, Empath, one of the original Hellions, Nanny, Orphan Maker's, Nanny, and Scalp Hunter from the Marauders, as well as Quanon, the clone other half of Betsy Braddock. It's a whole thing. Trying to explain a lot of X-Men is very difficult in one sitting. So more or less, these are the most violent members of Krakoan society that aren't Sabretooth, because he's still in exile at this time. So in here, the team is made up by Mr. Sinister, who, like, more or less has them be like, well, they can. Maybe we can't. Krakoa is meant not to deny their nature, so these guys are now going to be like doing missions that are going to help sate their violent natures, and yeah, really, it's more like them cleaning up Sinister's mess. First of all, this can go from, a funny moment to a dick punch moment in a heartbeat. Like, that's very much this comic, is that it can go from it's like, haha, that's funny, to aw, to, oh man, I feel god awful. Yeah, Zeb Wells really runs the gambit with these characters. He really does run the gambit with all of them, and if he really knows how to make you hate a character. What I also love is that I can almost imagine the voices for all these characters. Especially Mr. Sinister. I've always had, like, a kind of dignified Mr. Sinister in mind, but here's the thing. This Mr. Sinister and how he's kind of been portrayed in the Krakoan era of X-Men is that he's always kind of catty and like just full of himself. I kind of imagine, like, the voice for this version of Sinister as Steve Blum doing his Starscream voice. And when you read the dialogue in these Hellion books and some of the Krakoan era X-Men, you'll start to hear, like, you'll just imagine Steve Blum's Starscream come out of that just imagine Steve Blum doing his Starscream voice for this book. So yeah, the other thing of why you're probably also wondering why Havoc is a part of this team is because Havoc is a member of this team because he's been having psychotic episodes, and they think it's best if he's part of a team where he can do a little more damage and free himself. This is very much a team that is very unstable, very, like, it's just a powder keg waiting to happen, and it's very fun. It's also pretty violent, too. It's a very violent book. The comic only ran for 18 issues, but yeah, I think it did have a very complete story for 18 issues. It does feel like Zeb Wells did want to do more, and I feel like he is going to be able to do more since he is doing the... It's kind of funny I bring this up because he does bring back Madeline Pryor in this storyline and is using her for the Dark Web event, which is the X-Men Spider-Man event that has Madeline Pryor and Ben Reilly as the main antagonists. So it really picks up on what happened in here, and Zeb clearly loves arcade because he clearly loves having arcade. Like, it's very clear between this and the arcade event that's just come out that Zeb Wells clearly likes arcade because arcade plays a major villain in here, And also, a lot of the story arcs aren't very long. They're like 2 or 3 parts at maximum. So it's good. It's nice to see Zeb can tell a whole story, a whole concise story, in a matter of 3 parts if need be. So I think that's pretty cool. It's also kind to see like the running theme of this is the most unstable team, but we do get a lot of like great moments. Especially, I think the standout characters here are Quenon, Psylocke, and Scalp Hunter, which he goes by the name Greycrow. His real name, John Greycrow. Yeah, a lot of people forget that character, because, a lot of people forget that character in general, but yeah, he's Native American. And it's I would like to see what, I kind of want to see Zeb Wells write Deadshot, after reading his, dialogue for Scalp Hunter, it's very Deadshot-like. So I kind of want to see Zeb Wells do a Suicide... Because after reading this, I'm like, I'd like to see Zeb Wells do a Suicide Squad book, if only he could do Deadshot, because I think he would have a really good voice for Deadshot. And I think Scalp Hunter is like the big standout character in this lineup, along with Wild Child. There's some great moments with... Empath is very forgettable. No one cares about him. I think even Zeb Wells is like, I fucking hate this character. I'm just gonna have him in here for namesake as part of the original Hellions. And plus, we're also gonna beat the shit out of him. He's gonna be like the Kenny of this team. Except he's gonna be way more of a dick and deserve it. But yeah, I would say... all 3 volumes are out. I would say give this a shot if you want to like have a fun... kind of dark and very brutal, but still have a fun nature to it X-Men book. This actually reminds me a lot of Secret Six. The very much of this book feels very much like how Secret Six was with Gail Simone. And I wonder if Zeb Wells was a fan of this too, because it really has that kind of like fucked up family and fucked up themes throughout it. So I am curious. I would be curious to see him do some DC books, if only he got to do like Suicide Squad or maybe a new incarnation of Secret Six, something of that nature. All in all, this is a very fun book. I highly recommend Hellions. Like I said, all 3 volumes are out. You don't really, I think there's a whole big omnibus. Also, because these volumes don't include the X of Swords event as well. Those are collected in the X of Swords event omnibus. So, yeah, but you really don't need them to find out what happened. Well, you kind of do need that, because X of Swords was kind of a big X-Men event in general. All in all, though, Hellions was pretty fun. I rather enjoyed it. So, yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below. If you've read it, you guys tell me in the comments below what you guys think of it. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.